the Northwest was the somewhat drier air, more comfortable.
This is the L2C Media Network. And this is the L2C Sports Final. Steve Baxley, brought to you by the L2C Media Network. Now, with the headlines and details of the day in sports, here's Steve the Baxman Baxley. Hello everybody. How you doing? Welcome, one and all to the Corsican Ball. Can I have a better light? Thank you. Welcome, one and all to the Corsican Ball. That's right. This is the L2C Sports Final, and we are back. I want to thank everybody for their thoughts and wishes. I'm going to need a lot more than that. For those of you that don't know, my mom, Sharon Baxley, who owns this little palatial place, was in the hospital, and she was complaining about not being able to breathe, and it felt like a cement block on her chest. Well, we found out that she had some blood clots in her lungs and a blood clot in her leg. We found out some other things too, but she is suffering. We're going to get her checked to see if she has any signs of dementia and or Alzheimer's. And we will let you all know. So we're going to continue with this show, and I hope you will help me, because I really need it. There's a lot of things I got to do. And I have 3 shows that I do, and would like to see sort of grow into something. You all know that for about 16 years I've hosted Last Call Cafe, originally on Blog Talk Radio. Now it is on Spreaker and other podcasting platforms, including iHeartRadio. I also help on a show called, I also am the co-host of Jay the Brain Man Presents WrestleAnime Hut, which is already on Spreaker and other podcasting platforms. And, of course, my little baby here, L2C Sports Final. And I'm going to need some more viewers and listeners. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to see if there's anyone out there who would like to help handle us and help the show grow even further, help our shows grow even further, to capture some more viewers, some more fans out there who love sports and who love shows that don't have anything to do with politics, just fun. So help me out if you can. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. But right now, let's do what I love to do, and that's sports. Let's go to it, shall we? And do we have some for you tonight? But oh man, it is just not a cha-cha for us. We got let's rock and ride with the details and headlines. And the big news comes out. Got the coronavirus. Despite the COVID-19 outbreak involving at least 11 members of the Miami Marlins baseball club, Major League Baseball has no plans at the present to cancel or pause its 2020 regular season. Now cut down the New York Post. His report came after Commissioner Rob Manfred at his weekly meeting with all 30 team owners on Monday afternoon. And according to LA Times reporter Bill Shalkin, Manfred during that meeting told owners that, quote, "We believe the protocols are adequate to keep our players safe. Manfred and the owners intend to instead, quote, redouble health directives, unquote, such as players wearing masks or facial coverings in the clubhouse and to reinforce on-field behavior prohibitions against gestures like high fives," per Scott Miller of Bleacher Report. Because there are no clear guidelines in the agreement between the union and the league as it pertains to what would prompt a shutdown, that discretion is to be made by Manfred alone. He was asked earlier in July during a radio interview on the Dan Patrick Show what would have to happen in order for him to consider exercising that power. Manfred said in the interview, quote, "I don't have a firm number of days in mind to pause the season. I think the way that I think about it, Dan, it is in the vein of competitive integrity. In a 60-game season, if we have a team or two that's really decimated with a number of people who had the virus and can't play for any significant period of time, it could have a real impact on the competition, and we'd have to think very, very hard about what we're doing." Now, clearly, he does not feel the Marlins outbreak will have a real impact on the competition. Rather, he seems to subscribe to the same school of thought as Los Angeles Dodger president Stan Kasten, who said on Monday morning, quote, "I do think we expected something like this at some point, and maybe getting it out of the way early will help teach us things that we'll avoid repetitions of this going forward," end quote. Also on Monday, Manfred, during an interview with Tom Bertucci on Major League Baseball Network, said, quote, "I don't put this in the nightmare category. We built the protocols to allow us to continue to play," end quote. Call it wishful thinking or blind optimism, but it doesn't seem like Monday's news about the Marlins will mark the end of the season. Yet. Stay tuned, as they say. And speaking of baseball, there was some played, and we have other things for you. By the way, we just got the blessing to debut our new logo tomorrow. I think you're going to like it better than the present one we got. And all the action right here, right now. Okay, right now, in the 8th inning, it is the Cubs over the Reds, 8-3, 8-8-2 for the Cubs, 3-4-1 for the Reds. Also in the 8th inning, the Pittsburgh Pirates lead the Milwaukee Brewers, 5-1, 5-3-1 Pirates, 1-6-1 Brewers. Let's go for some final scores if we can, and we do. The Oakland Athletics defeat the California Angels by a score of 3-0. 3-6-0 for the Athletics, 0-9-0 for the Angels. Winning pitcher was Smith. He's 2-0. Losing pitcher is Canning. He's 0-1. The players of the game, Soria for Oakland, the pitcher. He pitched one full inning, gave up 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. And Smith for Oakland, who went 2 innings, gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 strikeout, and no walks. Final score, the Padres over the Arizona Diamondbacks, 6-2, 6-7-1 for the Pods, 2-6-0 for Diamondbacks. Quantrill gets the win for the Padres. He's 1-0. Weaver gets the loss. He's 0-1. Players of the game were Clark for Arizona, the pitcher, pitched 3 2/3 innings, gave up hits, no earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. And Quantrill, San Diego pitcher, pitched 1 1/3, gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 strikeout, and 1 base on balls, or walk if you prefer. Final score, Toronto Blue Jays over the defending World Series champions, the Washington Nationals, 4-1, 4-7-0 for the Jays, 1-11-0 for the Nationals. Borucki gets the win for the Blue Jays. He's 1-0. Sanchez, Anibal the Animal, gets his loss. He's 0-1. Bass gets his first save. And speaking of Bass, he's one of the players of the game for Toronto. He pitched only one full inning, gave up one hit, no earned runs, one strikeout, no walks. Hernandez, the center fielder for Toronto, went 2-5, 2 runs, 2 homers, and 2 RBIs. And we got more final scores for you, and here we go. Tampa Bay Rays played some long ball against the Atlanta Braves and beat them 14-5, 14-13-2 for the Rays, 5-4-0 for the Braves. Castillo gets his first win for the Rays. He's 1-0. Fultonwitz gets the loss for the Braves. He's 0-1. Astros over the Mariners, 8-5, 8-8-1 for the Stros, 5-9-1 for the Mariners. Belak gets the win for the Stros. He's 1-0. Graveman gets the Ziggy. He's 0-1. And Osuna for the Astros gets his first save. It was opening night for the Tigers, but you wouldn't have thought it. Kansas City Royals came in and closed the door on them. 14-6 final score, 14-13-2 for the Royals, 6-9-0 for the Tigers. Griffin the winner for the Royals, he's 1-0. Funkhauser, the loser for the Tigers, he's 0-1. And I knew I would forget something, so if we can go back 3, please, guys. Player of the game for the Braves and Rays. For the Braves, in the Braves and Rays game, Glasnow for Tampa Bay, 4 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. Renfroe for Tampa Bay, the right fielder, 3 for 5, 2 runs, 2 homers, and 4 RBIs. For the Mariners Astros, players of the game, Osuna, the Houston pitcher, pitched 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 strikeouts, no walks. Belak for Houston, their pitcher went 3 1/3, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, and no walks. In the Royals Tigers game, Franco for Kansas City, the third baseman, 3 for 5, 2 runs, 2 homers, and 4 RBIs. And Merrifield, the second baseman for Kansas City, 3 for 5, 3 runs, a homer, a double, and 3 RBIs. White Sox, Indians, Yankees, Phillies were postponed, as was, for the obvious reasons, the Orioles and Marlins due to COVID-19. Our final is the Mets and Red Sox. Mets beat the Red Sox 7-4, 7-11-0 for the Mets, 4-8-2 for the Red Sox. Waka got the win for the Mets. He's 1-0. Osich for the Red Sox is 0-1, and Lugo gets his first save. The players of this game were Waka for the Mets. The pitcher went 5 full, gave up 5 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. And Godley, the Boston pitcher, went 4 full, gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts, and no walks. And that is the latest from Major League Baseball. For a complete wrap-up, it's Sports Central USA. So there you go. Happy landings on a chocolate star. God, I'm thirsty. But we got more to do, and we're going to do it for you. So let's get going with more headlines before we take our obligatory halftime. One another out in the community. If our leaders avoided silly, avoidable pratfalls like not wearing masks and not adhering to critical health standards, and maybe, just maybe, come late summer, there'll be joy in Mudville, Green Bay, and, well, you get the picture. Well, if the numbers were decreasing, the curve was flat, and if testing was readily available across the country with results produced in hours and not days, then we could allow ourselves to concoct a scenario in which September was filled with a daily cornucopia of pro sports on tap, almost around the clock, from the Major League Baseball to the NFL. But we are nowhere close to that purported standards that were set back in March, and COVID-19 is raging in hotspots across the country. Fears are already confirmed as Major League Baseball, which, like football, is having teams travel all over the U.S. and does not have a strict bubble of any sort, was unable to get through its first weekend of regular season play without the virus running rampant among the Miami Marlins. got to a point where a game has already been canceled and their season seems already compromised. This is not doom and gloom. This is not rude sports leagues and for sports fans. And as a sports fan myself, no one wants the game. No one wants games to analyze and roster moves and transactions to obsess about more than me. But I also watch the news and read the paper. And sports is anything but immune to what is happening in Texas, Arizona, and Florida, and Georgia, and so many other states where pro football is played. There is a strong chance. I mean, it's not rooting against sports. It's stating what's been obvious. It's shooting people straight. It's venting a frustration. What is it? That maybe with this pandemic growing stronger and stronger, maybe sports should take a pause for a season and get back when we can enjoy sports. Because right now, it's not looking good. Now, the prospect of getting through a 5-month campaign never seemed realistic to the football people. Feels beyond ambitious right now. Naive, misguided, foolhardy. The NFL Players Association memo says it all. Quote, Item 7B, stipend for cancellation prior to roster countdown. For players on 90-man roster at the time of cancellation and who earned the 2019 credited season or 2020 draft picks, $250,000 stipend. NFL player health insurance. Item 2, for players without 2019 credited season and 2020 undrafted, $50,000 stipend, end quote. Now, teams can opt to cut down to 90 players now or wait until next month, which is coming along around the bend. But regardless, the worst-case scenario for the NFL's players is already baked into it. And it would have been ridiculous given what is transpiring in hospitals across this country and what baseball is also dealing with. For such terms to have not been negotiated, determining how to handle the economics of a shortened or aborted NFL season was one of the final big lingering issues in these months of talks, and it seems quite likely to be one of the more important pieces of the massaged collective bargaining agreement. Are we going to be seeing an NFL season? Well, if they work on it, and I mean really work on it, maybe. But as it stands right now, Major League Baseball worked on it, gave us 60 games. Right now, their future is in doubt, despite what Rob Manfred says, where players can go in. We'll just have to wait and see. It's 11:28 right now, and we are on the air after a few days off. Right now, let's give you a little update. It is 8-3 Chicago over Cincinnati. Bottom of the 8th, 2 out. Cincinnati is up with men on second and third. Other update, Pittsburgh leads Milwaukee 5-1. Milwaukee up to bat in the top of the 9th. No outs, nobody on. And we continue with our 24/7 Sports composite rankings. In the class of 2021, pledged his allegiance to the Bruins over Arizona, Washington, Michigan, and Oregon, and a handful of other would-be suitors. Watson is a 6'7", 108-pound small forward from Long Holly, is ranked as the number 1 prospect from the state of California and the 6th best player at his position nationally in the 24/7 Sport composite rankings. Watson said during his commitment announcement on Fox Sports with Titus and Tate, it checked all the boxes. And it's not only a basketball decision, it's a life decision. Eventually, that ball is going to stop bouncing, so I feel like my education to UCLA, my ability to come back if I leave early and get that degree and set me up for life is a big deal. His commitment is another milestone for Mick Cronin and his staff, who continue to build something special, sustainable in Westwood, And the quest to do so with a flock of exceedingly talented recruits makes UCLA's resurgence look increasingly more likely. And that's your NCAA basketball news. We give minor props. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. We will be back with you shortly with more of our broadcast. Want to remind you folks that coming up in about 21 minutes or 29 minutes from now, if it's Monday's return, and tonight they wrap up Conversations via proxy. That's right. The final chapter of Ron Toye's interview with some podcasters. In his own words, and boy, someone should just tell Ron Toye to shut up. Find out why, as I say. That is coming up. Rakita Law tonight. Can we, yeah. Let's, okay, we're going to get this right, folks. Whew. I'm sweating up a bullet here. Tonight, Conversations by Proxy, the interview, part 7. And a few other little bon mots. Join Nick Rakita, grab some whiskey, and take down a few drinks. Tonight, midnight Eastern, 11 p.m. Central. It's Lost Blaming the Interwebs, Conversations by Proxy, part 7 of the interview from hell. Join Nick Rakita and company for all the fun and information from the most humbled Minnesota lawyer this side of, well, Matlock. It's Nick Rakita, Lost Blaming the Interwebs, tonight, live at midnight Eastern, 11 Central. Only on the Rakita Law channel, only on YouTube. All right. It is, we've been on the air for 24 minutes. That means we got just 21 minutes left to go on the program. We may extend. So as they say, stay tuned. Let's, give me a moment. I'm going to take a bit of a pause for a little something. We'll be back in a moment. I'm going to step out for a second.
See that? See that? Yeah, now try it with me. Okay? Okay?
Things only got worse.
Oops.
Before Law and Miles began to contemplate killing the clan.
Oops.
True. If your son is he? I saw you. I think it's time for me to go.
We'll be back. Okay, we're back. And let's get going. Okay. Back to baseball. And White Sox manager as Renteria has tested negative for COVID-19 after waking up Monday morning with possible symptoms. Darrell Von Schoen of the Chicago Sun-Times reports the 58-year-old manager of the White Sox. However, that game was postponed because of weather and rescheduled as a Tuesday twilight doubleheader. Renteria is expected to rejoin the team in time for Tuesday's game. The team said in a statement on Monday morning, manager Rick Renteria awoke this morning with a slight cough and nasal congestion. After consulting with our team doctors, Rick underwent precautionary testing today at a Cleveland hospital. Out of an abundance of caution, Rick will remain at the team hotel and not manage till we receive confirmation of today's test results. Bench coach Joe McEwen will manage the White Sox during Rick's absence. Now, the White Sox have not announced any positive COVID-19 test results since the season began last week. Nomar Mazara, the outfielder for the White Sox, was placed on the injured list for an undisclosed reason prior to opening day. The White Sox played against the Twins over the weekend at their home park in Chicago, but now have headed out on the road and are in Cleveland for an intra-division series. The Marlins currently dealing with a COVID outbreak after having 11 players test positive in recent days. The Marlins home opener Monday night against the Orioles was postponed by Major League Baseball, as was the Phillies' Monday night game versus the Yankees. The Phillies hosted the Marlins on opening weekend. With what has happened with the Marlins' COVID-19 outbreak, the league and its teams are likely to be extra cautious moving forward. In the National Football League, I've got a couple more NFL stories for you, and then we'll give you a scoreboard. Justin Jefferson, 22nd overall pick in this year's draft, was one of 4 Viking players that were placed on the team's reserve COVID-19 list on Monday. The league's recently implemented reserve COVID-19 list includes players who either tested positive for the virus or who have been quarantined after having been in close contact with an infected person or persons. If a player falls into either category, their team is required to immediately place the player on the list. Teams are not permitted, per the agreed-upon NFL Players Association policy, to comment on players' medical status other than referring to the roster cuts. Furthermore, teams may not disclose whether a player is in quarantine or is positive for COVID-19. Now, early in the day, the Vikings announced that Eric Sugarman, the team's head trainer, vice president of sports medicine, as well as the club's infection control officer, tested positive for COVID-19 along with members of his family. The 4 players mentioned in the team's reserve COVID-19 list have not had any contact with Sugarman, according to ESPN's Lord and Savior Adam Schefter. The 5th receiver selected in this year's draft, the 6'1", 201-pound Jefferson, is coming off a prolific final season with the LSU Tigers. Last fall, Jeff caught 111 passes for 1,540 yards and 18 touchdowns, while helping Tigers cap off an undefeated season. The Vikings are hoping that Jefferson can help replace Stephon Diggs, who was traded to the Bills earlier this offseason. The Vikings were not the only NFL team to place players on the reserve COVID-19 list on Monday. The Jaguars placed 4 rookies, cornerback Luke Barku, defensive tackle Devon Hamilton, cornerback Josiah Scott, and offensive lineman Trevor Wallace-Sims on the list. Another notable rookie, Buccaneers' 3rd-round pick, Keyshawn Vaughn, was placed on the club's reserved COVID-19 list. Vaughn, who rushed for 2,272 yards and 21 touchdowns during his final season at Vanderbilt, is expected to complete is expected to compete for playing time alongside current starter Ronald Jones. Now, on Friday, Chiefs guard Laurent Duvernay-Tardif became the first NFL player to opt out of the 2020 season due to the ongoing pandemic. Instead of playing for defending champions, Duvernay-Tardif, who graduated from medical school in the spring of 2018, will focus his efforts on fighting the pandemic. Two other players, Seahawks offensive lineman Chance Warmack and Ravens receiver DeAnthony Thomas, have also chosen to take the league's voluntary opt-out clause. This is going to be a fun season. Right now, in the bottom of the ninth with no outs, by the way, updating you on a big score. Cubs still lead, but now it's a 3-run lead as the Reds rally and chip away. 8-5, Cubs still lead. Now, in other Major League Baseball news, speaking of the Marlins, what's next for that team after the outbreak and postponement? Answer for you very shortly, I might add it. Okay, so what's next for the Marlins? And done that story, guys. Come on. No, we've already done that story. You guys we got a stuck story here. So give it a couple of moments. We will extend, of course, naturally. There we go. We got it now. Now, what is next, as we said, for the Marlins after the outbreak and the postponements? Well, we're going to tell you. Virus outbreak, the Marlins have had at least 11 players test positive since opening day, a predicament that has forced the league to postpone 2 games scheduled for Monday night. Miami's home versus the Baltimore Orioles, and the season opener between the Yankees and the Phillies, who hosted the Marlins over the weekend. The Marlins will not play in Miami on Tuesday against Baltimore either, Commissioner Rob Manfred said. However, they could return to the field as soon as Wednesday with acceptable testing results. Manfred conducted a call with 30 franchise owners, and there are no plans at this time to cancel the season or pause for a couple of weeks. Baseball is intent on moving forward and plugging along through a 60-game season, and the fat TV checks that come with it at this point is anyone's guess and hinges in part on what the league does with the Marlins over the coming days. Now, the Marlins first had a positive test result on opening day when Jorge Alfaro was placed on the injured list shortly before the team's season opener in Philadelphia. The timeline of what happened between that and Monday follows. Alfaro tested positive opener. No other Marlins have positive results. That was on Friday, 24th, opening day versus Philadelphia. Sunday, the 26th, 3 players, including scheduled starter Jose Urena, reportedly test positive. Urena scratched from his Sunday start. The rest of the team learns about the positive test, but decides to play Sunday's game as scheduled. Now, the Marlins do not travel home as scheduled after winning the series finale. It says testing shows a full-blown outbreak for the Marlins. 11 players tested for COVID-19. Reportedly, at least 14 total team members are positive. Baseball postpones the Marlins' Monday night home opener versus Orioles, and the team will stay quarantined in Philadelphia. Now, the biggest question of all is, will the Marlins still face the Orioles? They had 4 games scheduled against the O's this week, 2 in Miami on Monday and Tuesday, and 2 in Baltimore on Wednesday and Thursday. Now, Manfred confirmed on Wednesday. They're doing some additional testing, and if the testing results are acceptable, the Marlins will resume play in Baltimore on Wednesday against the Orioles. Okay, time now, once again, for your very eyes, ears, nose, and throats. Find out what's going on with our friends at Awful Announcing. And, man, my toe is color is looking ugly. Oh boy, something must fill on it. Okay, well, here we go. Let's talk a little hockey and about the NHL coverage on the Peacock Network and its sporty. Well, guess what? We lost the report. Ah, lovely. We lose everything. Okay. NBC unveiled their plans tonight for their coverage of the NHL's resumption of play with the exhibition games starting Tuesday and postseason play beginning Saturday. One of the most interesting notes from the announcement is where the commentators will be. As per the release, John Forslund, Mike Milbury, and Brian Boucher will be on site in Toronto, while Pierre McGuire will be on site in Edmonton, but the rest of their commentators will be remote. Mike Doc Emmerich will call games from a home studio in Michigan, while other broadcasters will call games and provide studio analysis from NBC's sports studios in Stamford, Connecticut. Now, you would think the world feed would be fully Canadian television from Sportsnet. Nope, it'll be from both. NBC will originate the world feed from Toronto with some producers and directors on site there. Canada's Rogers and Sportsnet, which owns the Canadian broadcast rights to the National Hockey League, will originate the feed from the Edmonton games, but NBC will be adding their own commentary and graphics to it, and that'll be done remotely. Many of the Toronto games will be called remotely as well, but NBC Sports executive producer and president of production, Sam Flood, said on a conference call Monday that eventually the majority of the calls will come from inside the buildings. Now, what's it going to be like calling these first batches of games remotely and calling them from different locations when it comes to broadcast, with Emmerich providing play-by-play from Detroit and Olchek providing analysis from Sanford? Olchek weighed in on the call, saying it may take some getting used to for the announcers, but he doesn't think it'll make a big difference for viewers at home. Olchek went on to discuss that there could be some scheduling challenges, though. The early rounds, in particular, are set for a lot of back-to-back games in each city, and there will be a whole lot of coverage on the CSN, but particular start times may change thanks to overtime games. We'll be calling it, whether it's at noon or at midnight, we'll be there and we'll be calling it. And we're really looking forward to the challenge of bringing the greatest game in the world to the greatest fans. And it will be a lot of fun to hopefully take people away from the real world for a little bit of time. As per Emmerich, Flood said Doc Emmerich has got the best studio ever created in an undisclosed location outside Detroit. And Emmerich himself said, this is a great step of commitment from NBC to me. He said his studio involves two 30-inch monitors, with one showing the game feed and one showing his broadcast partners, plus an iPad camera for on-camera shots of himself and a laptop for promo cards and graphics. Emmerich will also be wearing both a headset mic and a blazer mic, with the headset mic used for calling the game and the blazer mic used for his on-camera appearances. And he said his main monitor is hooked up for all NBC games, not just the ones he's calling. So, quote, I'm able to watch all of the games on that monitor in case I get the urge to practice a bit more, end quote. Emmerich also mentioned that he called games off monitors before, including an LA Kings game in Sweden, the exhibition game played in 2011. So, been there, done that. But the NHL and NBC remote broadcasting setup also isn't a universal approach. The NBA, for example, has its national announcers calling games on site in Orlando. So it's interesting that NBC is going with a more limited on-site approach for now. And Emmerich himself, who turns a youthful 74 August 1st, said on the call he's approaching things one day at a time rather than committing to being on site eventually. From the production side, Flood said NBC's experience covering the Olympics in general and Olympic hockey in particular has helped familiarize them with having key elements of a production off-site. He said their Olympic coverage experience also will help them with what it's like to cover multiple high-stake games in one day from one location. There are going to be some technical innovations as well, with a big one being enhanced camera angles like the Jetacam, a 360-degree crane camera mounted under the scoreboard. Flood said he thinks that's something that may wind up being used on NHL broadcast after this season, especially for important games. On the audio side, the plan is to use some crowd noise from EA Sports as well as crowd sound from past broadcasts, plus extra natural sound from microphones in the building. Flood said the exact mixture of sound use may change over time. Flood also added that NBC's past outdoor broadcasts have helped in terms of using additional directional microphones and working in additional on-ice sounds. So they're getting ready, and in fact, so are we. We are getting ready as well. And what are we getting ready for, you may ask? Scoreboard. That's right, time to give you a quick scoreboard update. And then we're going to go to our hellos. Excuse me for a moment. All right. I know you missed our little mascot, our little cutie here, Bruno. All right, baby. You don't know this, but you've been a godsend to me. I don't think I would have made it without you. You know that, don't you? Yeah, you do. I love you. Okay, let's give you some scores from basketball, soccer, and beyond. In the club friendly in soccer, here we go. Ferencvaros and Drava tied at 2. Celtic defeated Hibernia 3-1. Volgograd defeated Dynamo Stavropol 1-0. Mazar El Goruna tied at 0. Amorthos over Aris 3-2. Koper over Budafold 3-2. In basketball, in the preseason NBA, Los Angeles Lakers defeat the Washington Wizards 123-116. Sacramento Kings over Los Angeles Clippers 106-102. Utah Jazz over the Brooklyn Nets 112-107. Orlando Magic over the Denver Nuggets 114-110, and the New Orleans Pelicans over the Milwaukee Bucks 124-103. Just some of the games. Do we have others? Yes, we do. Then let us do the others while we're on this subjective. Yay. Okay, then we'll go for fast shout outs, and then we will say our au revoirs to you. Yeah. In the Canadian CEBL, Hamilton Honey Badgers over the Guelph Nighthawks 97-71. The Edmonton Stingers over the Ottawa Blackjacks 89-82. In China, the CBA, after overtime, it was Tianjin over Guangzhou 118-110. Xinjiang over Jiangsu Dragons 110-70. Qingdao over Jilin 99-80. Shenzhen over Zhejiang Shaozhou 107-98, and the Shigang Gangsters over the Shanix Zhongru, or actually the Shanxi Zhonggu over the Zhejiang Guangsta 107-100. There's your basketball, folks. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, a little basketball. Mm-hmm. Yes, basketball. Yeah. That was basketball. Yeah. Would you like to get down? Okay, folks. I've already done baseball for at least a few moments. In the Nicaragua playoffs, CNBS, Dantos over Steli 7-2. And in the South Korea KBO, the Hanwha Eagles over the SK Wyverns. Actually, they ended up in a tie, 5-5. 5-5-0 Eagles, 5-10-1 Wyverns. And let's get to the rest of them here. Let's get to the rest of them while we prepare for our hellos. Hello. Okay, I'm going to put down, sweetheart. There you go. Boom. Thank you. Whew. Okay, let's get you some baseball. Let's get you some more baseball, shall we? In the KBO Futures League of South Korea, in the third inning, it's the KT Wiswang sequel and Sangmu tied at 2-3-1 for Wiswang. And come on, guys. That wasn't nice. I know we hit midnight, but we had 2-3-1 for the KT Wiswang, the sequel, and 2-3-0 for Sangmu. Lottie Giants 2 and the Samsung Lions 2, they were postponed. Okay, that means, my friends, and you are my friends, we are nearing the end of the broadcast, which means we go to the beautiful thing call our shout outs. And I just want to say one thing, and I want to combine all the shout outs to all of you out there who've been very concerned over the health of both in the Army back in Texas. And I was born. I lost my dad to Agent Orange, January 22nd, 1991, at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. And I knew something was happening to my mom. I just didn't want to believe it. And my mom, I promised my dad on his deathbed that I would take care of my mom. I would be there for her. And to see this brave woman just fall apart, and to realize what I've sacrificed, I'm going to need a whole hell of a lot of help. Raving or just, well, crying out for help. I'm going to need it. God's going to give me the strength, but I need my friends to give me the power to help my mom through this. Because I'm scared that I'm going to lose a person that's been both a mom and a dad. When my dad went to Korea twice and to Vietnam, my mom played both roles of mother and father. And to see her disintegrate into either dementia or Alzheimer's, it's scary. And quite frankly, I'm going to need a lot of help, not only from the doctors, but from all my friends. So if you could, please send all the prayers and all the love and all those good vibes to my mom. And if you can, spare a cup or two for me. Because for the next few weeks, I'm going to need all the help I can get. I want to thank all of you very much. And we'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place, doing what I love to do very much. And that's bringing you sports with a little attitude. Thank you, everybody. If you know anyone who would like to sponsor us, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you. And no matter what sport's going on, may your favorite team always be a winner. Good night, America. No matter where you are or who you are, hug your kids. Tell your mom and dad. Tell your parents. Tell your grandparents that you love them and you would do everything in your power to help them. Thank you and good night. I'll see you all tomorrow.